What's going on, guys? This is the Experienced Optimist. And today I want to talk about why forming friendships with some men is so difficult. Many men may be thinking, why is it so damn hard to foster male camaraderie here in the West? I personally have been thinking about this ever since I was young. Outside the military, it has been like pulling teeth to find common ground with most men. Well, in this article, I found the author does a magnificent job of breaking down why it is so difficult to form coherent bonds with men in America and in the West in general. The article is from an online blogger called Maverick Traveler. I'll put a link in the description. In one of the paragraphs titled No Bonding in the West, he states, this sacred demarcation between all things masculine and all things feminine doesn't exist in the West. Bonding with other men is difficult to impossible. First, male bonding is looked down upon by society. You are considered weak for going to other men for advice and mentoring. Second, even if you try bonding with other men, you'll quickly discover that it's a fruitless endeavor. Mostly because you're surrounded by guys who are too politically correct. Political correctness has diluted their masculinity, political correctness has diluted their masculinity to almost nothing. These men lack any edge whatsoever. They lack a backbone. They lack direction and decisiveness. On top of that, you don't even know which of your male friends you can really trust. There are lots of men who are white knights in disguise and are ready to bash and shame you if they deem your behavior as too masculine. All of this makes connecting with other men a fruitless endeavor. Then there are women who cross the sacred demarcation line and interfere in your masculine affairs. They shame and belittle you for trying to bond with other men. They call you names and make fun of you. Sigmund Freud would probably say it's a case of penis envy. I would agree. I have spent a lot of time wondering why this is. Why isn't feminine and masculine behavior enforced on some natural level by culture and society? Why is there constant meddling from both sides? Why can't men bond with other men in a healthy and productive way and women be comfortable with their femininity? One reason is because the politically correct mentality and culture in Western countries. Excuse me. One reason is because of the politically correct mentality and culture in Western countries. Western culture itself is synonymous with political correctness. This culture affects both men and women. It saps both men and women of their natural masculinity and femininity, respectively, and instead of making them stronger, it groups them together as a result of not feeling comfortable in their pre-defined roles. Men become more feminine and turn into white knights. Women become more masculine and turn into ball busters, which is why negs and teases work so well on them. And you, a normal, clear thinking man who just wants to live a normal life and date normal feminine women, is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Instead of men uniting together and helping each other, they're divided and pitted against each other. It creates extreme behavior where men begin picking on other men. Men shame other men from all sides. The white knights bash men who advise others to fuck women because they're being too aggressive, while other men claim that the only reason guys travel abroad is because they're losers and can't get laid at home. Then there's all kinds of shaming in between. Black men for dating white, overweight, or not women. Asian guys who date white girls. You get the picture. The ultimate purpose, and get this, is to weaken society using the old divide and conquer method. This kind of behavior simply doesn't exist in non Western countries. There's almost no man to man shaming of any kind. For instance, in Brazil, one of my good Brazilian friends only chased foreign women. Can you imagine Brazilian guys shaming their fellow countrymen because he prefers to chase foreign women? As someone who has lived in Brazil for some time, I can tell you that something like this would be completely unheard of. It would be pure nonsense, stupid and mindless hate. In fact, it's probably completely unheard of for men to shame other men in Latin America, Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, etc. Living in a society with a clear demarcation between bonding with other men and spending time with beautiful women is truly a rewarding experience. There's absolutely nothing like it. It allows you once and for all to stop debating the arbitrary meanings of masculinity and femininity and grow as a man by creating your own wealth and building your own empire. Excuse me. But you can't do this in a society where even two men can't agree on something trivial and support each other. You can't do that in a society where a woman feels they're being shamed for being feminine. There could be a functioning society only when there's a clear demarcation line drawn between what's truly masculine and what's truly feminine. There needs to be one or the other, not some gray and muddy area that seems confusing from a distance and gets more and more confusing as you try to understand it up close. Now, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I believe that we as men, especially MGTOW men, have come to a crossroads in this society. Therefore, I think in this environment, MGTOW men have to separate themselves from this ruinous culture. I think men from this point on should, number one, make sure they are self sufficient, be a sound critical thinker, and be willing to often travel to clear their mind of negative programming that exists in the US and abroad. Mark Twain stated, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one corner of the earth all one's lifetime. Number two, I think that MGTOW men should only associate with other MGTOW men as a unit if they wish to collaborate effectively. Since MGTOW men are self sufficient and make their own money, this would make economic collaboration among these groups of men more palatable and strategically advantageous. Number three, each man, each man, should strive to make at least $3,000 independent of location a month so that he has the freedom to travel to low-cost locations overseas that have considerably lower amounts of harassment. Number 4, avoid the time-old wine, women, and song trap at all costs, such as avoid copious amounts of drinking and doing drugs, excessive fornicating and fraternization with women, and keep partying to a minimum. Number 5, and most important, leave shady women alone. The thing is, MGTOW is more than no marriage or no cohabitation. The average man can brave multiple tours on the battlefield, endure excruciating agony at the hands of other men, and build enormous constructs with nothing but blood, sweat, and tears. But put a woman in his path, and the average man will forego all of his potential to become a slave. A mindless automaton ready to do the bidding of those who do not mean to love him or respect him. This is why the MGTOW philosophy is about breaking the bindings of male subjugation through avoiding the greatest means by which men ensnare themselves, namely marriage and cohabitation. In this regard, MGTOW truly is about self-discovery. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, and knowing oneself unalterably is what the MGTOW philosophy leads to." And when men know themselves, that is when he's able to bond with other men more successfully. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support other MGTOW channels, and I will talk to you later, gentlemen.